Hi friends, and welcome back to your Yoga Fundamentals. This is video number 8, and today we're going to tackle Warrior 1, Pyramid, and Triangle Pose. So come to standing on your mat, and we're going to take a big step forward with the left foot, and a big step forward with the back foot. Now, a common misconception here, people like to line up their feet one after the other, and that makes it really hard to balance. So we're going to take up a lot of the mat here. And then we're going to turn the right toes out just a little bit so they're at about a 45-degree angle. And then we're going to take the hands on the hips and we're going to square the hips off with the front of the mat. Now, if instantly your knee is screaming right now, you can always either come up on the toes and come into a lunge instead of a Warrior 1. Remember, there's no cheating. That's always allowed. Or you can lift the right toes up, and as you pivot on the hips, you can bring the toes with you, okay? So there's nothing written that you have to have your foot out like this. I mean, maybe there is somewhere, but it's fine. You're good. So the important thing is here is to protect that knee. So make sure it doesn't hurt. So we have those toes out. We're going to square up the hips, and then we're going to bend into this left knee. So find which variation is comfortable for you. You can also bring a hand to the wall for a little bit more stability, or you can bring your hands forward onto your chair until you get used to this pose. You can bring your hands to the hips, or if you're feeling real good and steady, you can lift up. But remember, we don't want that knee to go past the toes. We want this stacked nice and strong, and we want to be pushing into the outer edge of the back foot. Take a breath there, and it's important you want to keep pulling that left hip back and that right hip forward. Awesome job. And then on your inhale, you're just going to straighten through the left leg, and we're going to come into our pyramid pose. So same basic leg structure. You keep wanting to square the hips forward, pulling that left hip back. We're going to bring the hands to the hips, and then we're going to hinge forward. So you want to press into the ball of the left foot like you're hitting the brakes or hitting the gas pedal real strong. I actually like to take my left hand and put it on the hip to keep pulling the hip back as I fold. And again, you can bring the hands down to the chair. You can bring it down to the seat of the chair. You can bring your hands down to your blocks or down to the floor. Bending the knees as needed. I usually like to have my blocks here and keep pressing into the ball of that left foot and pulling that left hip back. Yes, it does make it a little harder. I know, I'm sorry. And then bringing the hands to the hips, we'll come on up and we'll go ahead and switch sides. So we're going to pivot around to the right side. So now right foot is in front, left foot steps back. We have our nice wide stance. We're going to turn those left toes out, square the hips up to the front of the mat, bend into that right knee for our Warrior 1. So this is something that you'll have to really practice, is pulling that right hip back, because it's going to want to come forward. And again, using the wall or your chair to steady you. But if you're feeling good and strong in the legs, feel free to lift the arms up. This is a tricky one. Remember that your lunge pose is always an option. And then we'll bring the hands to the heart. Press through the right foot to straighten the right leg, coming into our pyramid pose. So again, we pull that right hip back, start to bend forward. Really pressing down into the ball of that right foot. I'm going to use my blocks this time. I'm going to frame the foot. This helps me to keep my spine nice and long while I'm stretching into the back of that leg. Great job. And then either press off from the blocks or bring the hands to the hips, using the belly muscles to come all the way back up to stand. Great. And now we're going to turn facing the long side of the mat, opening up the legs wide. And now instead of heel to heel alignment, we're going to do heel to arch alignment, similar to our Warrior 2 pose. So you're going to turn the left toes out to face the short side of the mat, pressing into the outer edge of the right foot, and we're going to go into our triangle pose. So triangle pose can be tricky. What I see a lot is people bring this left hand all the way down to the floor, and then they do this. And this is not what we're looking for. we want to maintain the extension through the spine and the torso. So first we're going to bump this right hip out to the right, and then we're going to lean forward, shifting the hips over to the left. So try that a couple times. We shift and we come back. We shift and we come back. And then we shift. And you can stay right here. You can bring the left hand to the top of the chair, bringing the right hand to the hip. So this is one option. Another option is you can bring that left hand to the thigh. And then if it feels good in your shoulder, you can reach up here. Okay? I'm going to bring my right hand down to my hip. You might be able to come down to your shin. But again, the test here is this right shoulder back? Is this right hip back? Is my chest facing the wall? If my chest is facing the floor, I have to come up, either sliding it up the leg or using my chair or another prop. Okay? So I'm going to use my block, put it on the pinky toe side of the foot, shift forward, and come down. You might need to stack 2 blocks here, or do 1 block and then come to fingertips. Perfect. And then you want to press through the right heel, the ball of the left foot, for your triangle pose. Another beautiful way, inhale to come up, to practice triangle pose is against the wall. So I'm going to scoot back for the other side. If you're like me and you have a bunch of crazy crap on the wall, be careful of that. So getting into your triangle stance with your heel to arch alignment now on the right side. I'm going to lean up against the wall, shift forward, and then come down, and every part of my back body is against the wall. So I can feel my back on the wall, the legs on the wall, and that's how I know that I have my good alignment. So you can try that. Or again, whatever you need to, shifting forward, lowering down. Finding your triangle. Pulling the left hip back, pressing into the ball of the right foot. And again, keep breathing. You can even use your chair here, the seat or the top. So this is really important. This is a really good one to play with because this is one of the most common poses that I see people really struggling with and really not having their good alignment. So when you practice your triangle, remember that test. If you're pointing toward the floor, you got to slide it up. Okay? So play with your triangle, and we'll see you in the next video.